honey, you are not going to believe what just went down with Prince Harry. Like, we thought the drama was cooling off, but baby, it just hit DEFCON 1. And it wasn't some royal scandal or another tell-all interview that sent shockwaves through the palace walls. Oh no, it was something way more savage. A pull. Yes, you heard that right. A pull just body slammed Harry straight into the royal rejection pile. And we're not talking about a silly Instagram story vote. This was serious. The British public came out swinging, and the numbers, absolutely brutal. A whopping 62% of people said straight up, strip him of the Duke of Sussex title, like yesterday. WHD. That's not a little dip in approval. That's not, oops, I got caught partying. That's, we're done here, take the title and go. And when you break it down by age and politics, oh honey, it's even messier. Among older conservative voters, the hate was off the charts. Over 70% want him gone. Let's be clear, this wasn't just some internet clickbait garbage. This poll had real weight, like parliament level seriousness, the kind that gets headlines and meetings behind closed doors. And here's the kicker. Prince Harry thought he was being all vulnerable and heartfelt again. He just gave a TV interview with the BBC, practically begging for some sympathy, talking about family reconciliation, how little time his father, King Charles, may have left. You'd think that might soften some hearts, right? Wrong. Instead of, "Ah, poor Harry," the public heard manipulative guilt trip. A one line in particular had everyone rolling their eyes and sharpening their pitchforks. "I don't know how much longer my father has." Babe, the nation didn't clutch their pearls, they threw them across the room. People saw right through it. It wasn't vulnerability, it was strategy. They think Harry's just trying to butter up the country after losing his court battle to get taxpayer-funded security back in the UK. So now he's tugging at heartstrings while quietly begging for his perks back? Not today, Satan. Let's be real for a second. This whole title thing, it's not just about nobility or tradition anymore. This is about pride, duty, betrayal. See, Harry left the royal family. He waved that "I want privacy" flag so hard it could have flown over Buckingham Palace. And then what did he do next? Oh, he launched documentaries, he dropped a bombshell memoir, he podcasted, interviewed, and spilt more tea than the entire cast of The Crown combined. So now Brits are fed up. Every time Meghan sends out another podcast press basket signed Her Royal Highness, even though Queen Elizabeth literally said no to that, it feels like a slap in the face. Like they want to ditch the duty but keep the branding, and that is rubbing everyone the wrong way. It's like Harry wanted out of the royal life but kept using the royal glow like it was his personal business card, and people aren't just annoyed, they're furious. Especially in Sussex, the actual place, not the Netflix brand. The folks who once waved flags at his wedding, now they're signing petitions demanding that title gets yanked like a bad wig on reality TV, some elderly woman, sharp as a tack. He doesn't represent us anymore. He represents himself. And baby, that line is being echoed across morning shows and front pages like a damn funeral bell for Prince Harry's royal chapter. Let that sink in. This isn't about scandals or legal battles or even cheating. It's worse. It's about the public just not believing in him anymore. The people's prince is now being seen as the guy who walked away from duty but clung to the perks like his life depended on them because, and let's be honest here, Harry didn't just leave. He left loud. He left with Netflix cameras rolling, podcast mics hot, and publishers throwing millions at his every word. And the message across all of it, I was wronged, now hear my truth. Well, after hearing that truth for 5 straight years, the public's over it. It's no longer relatable. It's exhausting. Critics are calling it exactly what it feels like. Brand laundering. He's using the title of Duke of Sussex not to represent heritage or duty or service, but as a royal discount code for media deals. It's the golden ticket. It turns a memoir into a royal scandal, a podcast into a public service announcement, a Netflix doc into a royal expose. Let's ask the real question. If he were just Harry Windsor from California, would Spotify care? Would Netflix care? Would anyone? That's the uncomfortable truth hitting boardrooms in Hollywood right now. If the title goes, the sparkle fades, and Harry, he's left standing with a mic and a sob story, no glitter, no crown. Meanwhile, Meghan, she's at least pivoting. She's carving out her own thing, lifestyle, brands, interviews. She's putting her name on her terms. But Harry, he's stuck because his identity has been fused to royalty since birth. Without that, who is he? Now here's where it gets dark. The UK government is dusting off an old piece of law no one thought they'd ever use again. The Titles Deprivation Act of 1917. Girl, this is the same law they used to strip royals who sided with the enemy during World War I. And now it's being considered for a royal who committed symbolic treason, using royal status while trashing the royal system. Yikes. This isn't tabloid bark anymore. This is political bite. Inside Parliament, the whispers are turning into murmurs and murmurs into motions. One MP didn't mince words. Titles are granted for service. If they become tools for profit, we've lost the point of the monarchy. And you know what? That hits deep, because every time Harry slaps Duke of Sussex on a gala invite or press release, it cheapens the whole damn system. It turns a sacred tradition into a talking point. It's no longer about heritage, it's about headlines. And in a country that takes tradition dead serious, that's not just irritating, it's offensive. But you know what's got people shook even more? The palace is silent. King Charles, not a word. Prince William, even quieter. But let me tell you, their silence is loud. You know what they say, when royalty doesn't speak, you better listen. Insiders are whispering that William is backing this move quietly, not by storming Parliament, but by doing what every Windsor knows works best. Let the system handle it. Let the laws do the talking. Let the government carry the weight. No fuss, no statements, no press conference with tears and trembling hands, just silence. And in the royal world, that's a loaded gun. So while the petitions grow and the legal gears begin grinding, it's becoming clear. This isn't a punishment, it's a reset. And guess what? That might be even worse. So while Harry's public image continues to nosedive, what's Prince William doing? Oh, honey, he's playing chess while Harry's over here throwing tantrums on a checkerboard. Let's talk about Prince William, the future king, the heir, the one who's had enough of being the silent punching bag in Harry's drama-filled narrative. Every dig from Harry's memoir Spare, every eye roll anecdote from that Netflix docuseries, every salty soundbite from Meghan's interviews, they all painted William as the cold, emotionless villain. But guess what? William didn't take the bait, not once. No clapbacks, no interviews, no leaked notes, just silence. That chilling royal silence that speaks louder than 1,000 Instagram rants. Behind the scenes, insiders say William is privately furious, boiling even, but publicly, he's the definition of calm, cool, and collected. And that's what makes him dangerous to Harry's camp, because that kind of restraint, that's power, silent, composed, unstoppable power. So when the petition to strip Harry's title landed in Parliament's lap, what did William do? Nothing. And that nothing was everything. He didn't object. He didn't make a phone call. He didn't lift a royal finger. He let it simmer. Let the people speak. Let the system do what it's built to do. And now the machine is moving without him ever having to say a word. It's not revenge, it's balance. Meanwhile, over in Montecito, California, oof, the vibes are not immaculate. What was once painted as a fresh start for the Sussexes is starting to look a lot like a retreat. Meghan's out here diving headfirst into solo ventures, think book deals, brand makeovers, maybe even a lifestyle empire of her own. She's pivoting, she's strategizing, but Harry, poor Harry's looking more cornered than ever, with the polls against him, the public disillusion, and the royal family icing him out. It's not just a PR disaster anymore. It's a full-blown identity crisis, because here's the brutal truth: that Duke of Sussex title was his shield, his protection, his entire brand, and now it's turning into a curse. Once it opened every door in Hollywood, it was the crown jewel of their media empire. Now it's a ticking time bomb. Studios are whispering, sponsors are panicking, deals are under review. Because if that title goes away officially, what happens to the brand value? The mystique, the magic, let's be honest. Nobody's tuning in for Harry Windsor from Santa Barbara. They were buying into the royal fairy tale, the exiled prince, the broken crown, the insider with secrets. But if Parliament strips that title, the crown vanishes, the fantasy crumbles, and Harry becomes just a guy with a mic and a very tired story. Here's the thing, royalty only works because people believe in it. Strip away that belief and it's all smoke and mirrors. And Harry, he's become the blueprint of how that belief breaks. Not with some wild scandal, not with a betrayal or an affair, but with overexposure. He gave the world too much, too many interviews, too many dramatic truths, too many retellings of the same sob story. At first, people leaned in, they were curious, they empathized. But over time, the charm wore off, the vulnerability started to feel scripted, rehearsed, and now the very crown that made him interesting might be the thing that takes him down. Because if Parliament moves forward, and all signs say they absolutely are, they won't do it with drama. No screaming matches, no dramatic palace statements. They'll do it by the book. The Titles Deprivation Act will be pulled out of history, dusted off, and voted on with all the quiet intensity of a guillotine being raised. One signature, one vote, and boom. The Duke of Sussex is no more. No fanfare, no ceremony, just royal ink and legal order, and once it's done, it's done. No more Duke of Sussex on press kits. No more royal crest on speaking engagements. No more Prince on the billing. Just Harry, a man with a platform and a shrinking audience. Now the weight of this silence from the royal family, it's deafening and it's intentional. King Charles, bless him, is stuck between a father's heart and a monarch's duty. And guess what he chose? Duty. No statements. No protective press release, no my son is misunderstood moment, just absolute silence. People close to Charles say he's torn, that this is hurting him as a father, but as king, his mind is made up. Because this isn't about emotions anymore, this is about preserving the crown. Charles has already survived a messy divorce, Diana's tragic death, years of scandal, and decades of being dragged in the press. He saw the monarchy almost collapse once before. He's not going to let it happen again, not because of his son's podcast empire. And William's not even torn. He's strategic. He's letting Harry burn his own bridges while sipping his tea. Every chapter in Spare, every moment in that docuseries, every passive-aggressive comment from Meghan, it's all been building up to this moment. William has taken every hit, every dig, and just waited. Because he knew that the court of public opinion would eventually turn, that the sympathy would dry up, that the people would see through it all. And now, when the tide is finally turning, William doesn't need to yell. He just lets Parliament do what must be done. It's cold, but it's effective. And for Harry, the clock is ticking. Even Hollywood, yes, even the land of filters and false smiles is catching the scent of decline. The conversations behind studio doors, they are no longer about the royal fairy tale. They're about risk. Would you invest in a documentary if the star's title gets yanked? Would you still shell out millions for a speaking engagement if the Duke in Duke of Sussex becomes just Harry? That golden royal shine, it's fading fast. And Meghan, she's watching it unfold. She's hustling, pivoting, exploring her options. But even she knows if that title disappears, their brand takes a hit they may not recover from, because it was never just about them, it was about the royalty of them. And now the royalty is slipping through their fingers. Final word, the crown moves on. At the end of the day, what's happening here is bigger than just one prince. This is about institutional survival. Every time Harry puts Duke of Sussex on a Netflix contract or gala poster, it chips away at what that title was meant to represent. Duty, honor, service. And when the public no longer sees those things behind the title, that's when the monarchy steps in. The palace doesn't need to scream or throw punches. It doesn't need scandal or fireworks. It just needs to wait. And that's exactly what's happening. Parliament is moving, public opinion is roaring, and the palace, it's just watching. Silently, powerfully. If the vote goes through, and it's looking more inevitable by the day, Harry loses more than a title. He loses the scaffolding holding up his post-royal identity. The crown he clung to for brand value, gone. And what's left? A man a microphone, and a world that's just not listening anymore.